What if your browser could research the web, fill up your grocery cart, and plan a trip for you, all while you were brewing a cup of coffee? I scored early access invites to 3 AI-native browsers that promise to change the way we interact with the internet. In this video, we will test Dia, Fellou, and the Chrome challenger, Comet, by Perplexity. We will put them through the ringer with day-to-day tasks and learn what is hype and what is real. I have lived through the original browser wars: Netscape Navigator, Internet Explorer, Firefox, and then Chrome. But this time around, it's not about speed or features. This is about if the browser can think, reason, and do the work for you. So without further ado, let's dive in and find out if any of these browsers can present an intelligent new way of interacting with the internet. All right, before we get into our tests, let's establish an understanding of what AI-native browsing or agentic browsing means. In AI-native browsing, you use AI to browse the web, gather information, open multiple tabs, and compare them autonomously. Here, the AI autonomously navigates the web, opens different websites in different tabs, even clicks through different elements, looks at reviews, and executes tasks in a multi-step process on behalf of you. Let's say in today's world, you had to book a trip to Paris. You would open different airline websites. You would look at TripAdvisor reviews for different locations and hotels. You would probably open multiple tabs and switch between those tabs manually to compare the information. And once you've looked at all the information you need to look at, you will arrive at a decision, make the choice, and book the flight or hotel that you need to. Now, with agentic or AI native browsing, the process changes quite a bit. With AI native browsing, you basically ask your agent to search on behalf of you. You state your goal. The agent goes and searches different websites. Agent opens different airline and hotel websites in different tabs. It collates the context from multiple tabs together so it can compare information. And once it has collated and compared all the information from multiple sources, it's going to present the best possible option to you, which you then review and approve for booking. Now, with our test today, let's see if any of these browsers can actually live up to the promise of AI native or agentic browsing. Let's get into it. The installation of these browsers was pretty straightforward. Dia, the installation process was quite visually striking. It almost looked like a video ad for the browser. It engulfs your entire screen and walks you through all the features. And then finally, you get to create an account, and it gives you an option to import an existing Chrome profile. And once you're done, in a few minutes, you're ready to go and browse the web. So the installation of Fellou was also pretty straightforward. 2 things to know. 1, Fellou claims to be the first agentic browser in the world, so I had to give it additional system permissions for screen recording to carry out agentic actions. 2nd thing to note, I was not offered any options to import settings from the existing browser, so you might need to recreate your favorites or bookmark lists from scratch. Now, Comet also had a very visually striking installation process. There was the soothing music and this beautiful solar system theme-based UX where you get to choose a certain planet to represent your profile, and you get the option to import your settings from existing Chrome profiles. All in all, this was a very beautiful installation process, and I got set up in less than a minute. So that was the installation process, which is pretty straightforward for all 3 browsers. Now, for this video, we're going to put these browsers head-to-head in 3 different tests. The first, we're going to compare multiple different tabs and have it present us the best option while we shop for something. Second, we're going to have it create a grocery cart based on a certain recipe autonomously. Third, we're going to see how it navigates Google Maps and create a custom route for us based on instructions we give it. We expect it to add the stops and execute the task based on our instructions. Let's begin. Now, for the first test, I'm going to have these browsers find and compare 5 different options for wireless lapel microphones. I expect these browsers to find the best pricing and the most popular microphones under $200 and present the best option to me. So I'm going to start with Dia, and I have typed in my prompt, which is a very simple, straightforward prompt. For each test, I'm going to try to use the same prompt for each browser, and then we might ask follow-up questions as we go along. Now with Dia, I have my prompt right here and I just hit check. So once I've typed in my prompt, it thinks for a few seconds and I can see that it's trying to research different websites and starts comparing different options. And within a few seconds, it presents me with 5 different options. So here we have 5 different options. The visual, the UI is great. I can see pictures. It tells me the basic specs of each option. And it also tells me what the best price it has found. Now, if I scroll down a little further, it tells me at the end that all of these options are compatible with iPhone, as well as digital cameras and my computer. This was specifics that I had already stated in the prompt. As I click on the Amazon link, it opens a split view, which is great because I can look at the analysis as it's presented and the website as I go. I want to ask it a follow-up questions. Based on the user reviews, which microphone do you recommend? It looks at the user reviews and expert opinions based on web research, and it recommends the Holy Landlord M1. Now the actual test is, can it add it to my cart? So, can you add this microphone to my Amazon? This is a true test if the browser can actually take an action on behalf of you. Basically says it cannot add items directly to the cart for me. However, it gives me the link and I should be able to add it to the cart. All right, fair enough. So far, it was good at the analysis. It compared different options for me in one go. It's not truly agentic where it can actually add it to the cart or even buy it for me with my approval. So far, this feels like I'm browsing with AI, where the AI is not really browsing on behalf of me. I can ask it questions about the tabs. I can ask it follow-up questions. Let's see what Fellou can do. Let's move on to the next browsers. With Fellou, I had to record the task because it took the browser about 7 minutes to accomplish it. However, I used the same exact prompt that I used with Dia. As soon as Fellou gets the prompt, it presents a step-by-step action plan and asks for my approval. I hit run, and then it invokes what it calls the deep search agent. The deep search agent then opens up different tabs simultaneously and starts browsing retail websites where microphones could be found. As it is browsing through these websites, it's actually consolidating some of the information into a research summary in background containers. It continues to look for more options, open up multiple tabs. At one point, it also opened up YouTube and started looking at video reviews. Once it consolidated all of this information, it starts preparing a summary report. And as it is putting together this summary report, it's analyzing a lot of this information in the background. In a few seconds, it actually goes into this coding mode, and I wasn't really sure what it was coding. I can see that it already had summarized some of the information, but I wasn't really sure what it was doing right after that. What I could tell was it was coding in HTML, so I waited for a few minutes to see what it was up to. After a few minutes, it presents a beautifully created HTML website with a full comparison of the 5 microphone options it found. Now, this was so surprising to me. I did not ask it to create a website, but a visual comparative analysis is super useful in making quick decisions. If I had to do this manually, it would take me hours. I would have to watch YouTube videos, look for Amazon reviews, and then decide upon a buy. Now, once I had this report, I asked what would be its recommendation. It actually recommends the most popular one. Now, I tried to click some of the links in that HTML website, but they were broken. But hey, that's okay. I asked it to find the mic that it recommends on Amazon and add it to my cart. Then it prepares another plan and asks for my approval. I click run, and then it invokes the browser agent. This is a different agent now than the deep search agent. The browser agent is equipped to access and manipulate elements on a browser, so it can click through HTML elements like a human. So it finds the microphone on Amazon, and then it successfully goes on to add it to my cart. Now that truly, again, is agentic browsing. It found 5 options. It created a beautiful HTML website. It gave me a recommendation based on that options, and then added it to my Amazon cart. All I need to do is hit buy. This was very surprising from a browser that I didn't know much about at all. So let's see how it does in the next tests. Let's see if Comet can handle our mic comparison task. Now, Comet uses Perplexity as its default search engine. So if you're a Perplexity user and you open a tab in Comet, you might notice the familiar chat interface. You've got the option to search the web, deep research option, as well as Perplexity Labs available right in here. We're going to use the basic search option, use the same exact prompt which we used for Dia and Fellou, and let's see what we get. And I can see the very familiar process Perplexity uses to search different websites. It's looking at different sources, it's trying to find the best pricing, and then it starts presenting me with some options. Now, based on my requirements, these options look like pretty solid options. They're all within the budget I specified. They all have great reviews. It has listed some of the features as well as issues that it found in the reviews. Fair enough. I think this is very familiar or akin to what Perplexity would do. Let's see if I can ask it a follow-up question to find me some additional options from reputed brands. So, what are other popular options from reputed brands in my budget? Sorry for the typo. It goes through the same kind of familiar Perplexity search process, gives me a few more options. I think I want one particular microphone, so I'm going to have it dig deeper into that. What is the best price available for the DJI Mini? It says the best price is available from its company store. Let's see if I can get it to find it on Amazon. Find it on Amazon and add it to my cart. After a few seconds, I can see it open the Amazon page. So if I click on open page, I'm not sure if it's actually accessing the website. And I had noticed this with Comet before. Sometimes you can see it navigate the live website, click on elements. However, sometimes you can't. It seems to execute the task in the background. That was a little confusing. After a few seconds, it says it has added it to my cart. So I click on open page. I can see that it actually added the microphone to the cart. Now this is also agentic behavior. However, I think there are some kinks that need to be worked out. For a second test, I want to see if these browsers can create a custom navigation route on Google Maps. I expect the browsers to find the best possible route based on my instructions and add all the stops. I have Google Maps open here, so I'm going to invoke the chat window and I'm going to paste in my prompt. It's a fairly simple prompt where I'm asking it to map me a motorcycle route, round trip between two locations, and I'm asking it to avoid interstate highways and add gas stops about halfway in both directions. All right, looks like it's giving me a step-by-step route based on what it found on the internet. It's telling me that I should avoid interstates, which I asked it to do. And instead of finding an actual gas stop, it found a town where it's recommending me to search for gas stops within that town. Fair enough. Further down, it's actually giving me instructions on how to map this with Google Maps. So as we saw in the previous test, Dia doesn't really have access to perform agentic actions, click on elements, and interact with websites. Let's still ask. Can you add these stops to Google Maps here? One of the features in Dia is you can @mention the tab and have conversations with the AI about it. Let's see if it actually responds to our request to add the stops into the Google Maps. In a couple seconds, it responds to say that it actually cannot add the stops. Fair enough. For this test, Dia was able to find me a route, give me recommendations for a town which would be midway to find a gas stop. It didn't find the gas stop for me, nor was it able to add the stops to the Google Maps route. Let's see how Fellou does. I use the same exact prompt with Fellou in a Google Maps window. It invokes the deep action agent and prepares a plan for me. I approve it, and then it invokes the browser agent. As you can see, it can search, it types in the destination, finds a route, and it's clicking through the elements to make sure that the route can avoid highways. It's thinking, it's pausing, it's reasoning, and then it's proceeding to the next step. I can see it starts looking for gas stations. It opens up a website for a gas station, and then it added the gas station as a stop between my source and destination. And on the way back, it then tries to search for gas stations as well. This is pretty fascinating agentic behavior. I'm just watching it do this. So far, Fellou has surprised me a lot. It's very clear that they're using agentic workflows in the background. At one point, it actually recognizes that it ordered the stops incorrectly. So it removes one of the stops and tries to add it in the correct order. The thinking and reasoning part is quite fascinating. If you layer on properly managed memory with it, this browser could be extremely powerful in automating tasks. It took Fellou about 10 minutes to complete the task. It was able to find the right gas stations. It was able to add all stops on Google Maps itself. However, the final order of the stops, as you can see, was incorrect. That's a small manual change for me to make. And I had a proper motorcycle-friendly route. That probably saved me 30 to 40 minutes of research. Let's see how Comet does in the same task. So I have Google Maps open in a Comet tab. I invoke the assistant and use the same exact prompt. Right off the bat, it starts looking for the destination, finds a route. It clicks through the route options to avoid highways. It searched for gas stations along the route. It added one on the onward journey. It found one on the return journey as well and added it as a stop. And if you look through the chain of thought text, you can see that it's also pausing, reasoning, thinking, and then proceeding to the next step. So in about 7 minutes, Comet completed this task. But just like Fellou, the order in which the stops were arranged was incorrect. However, that's an easy fix. I was able to drag and drop the stops and reorder them. Then I thought it would be handy if I could have this route on email. So I asked a follow-up question for Comet to email it to me. I have connected my Gmail to Comet. It asks me for permission. I say continue, and it emails me the route. All in all, this was a great result. Comet truly behaved like an agentic browser where it had agents think, reason, interact with live elements on Google Maps, add the stops, find gas stops, and then it was able to email it to me. Fantastic. I just saved 40 minutes. Task number 3, shopping for groceries. This task is inspired by one of the use case videos Perplexity put out on the Comet website. So I thought it's a fairly simple day-to-day task, and it would be good to put all 3 browsers to the test with this particular task and see how they behave. The goal here is to understand if it can take actions on behalf of you, and if it can intelligently gather a list of ingredients based on a recipe you want to cook. Let's start with Dia. I have Instacart open here, so I invoke the chat window in the Instacart tab and I type in my prompt. I'm asking it to create a grocery list for a shepherd's pie recipe, and I wanted to find all the ingredients from a store that delivers the fastest, and I wanted to add it to my cart. Let's see how it does. After I type in the prompt, I can see it's searching. It gives me a recipe for a shepherd's pie, and it looks like it created a different artifact for it. The recipe is fairly detailed. It's got step-by-step instructions on how to make shepherd's pie and an ingredients list. However, it did not really navigate anything in Instacart. I want to see if it can add it to my cart. Can you add the ingredients to my Instacart? It responds directly, cannot add items to the Instacart for me. However, it gives me instruction on how I can do it. All right. In summary, it was able to find me a recipe and an ingredients list, but it wasn't able to interact with the website and add any ingredients to the cart. It also did not find me the closest store. Not truly agentic, and in this scenario, not very helpful. Let's see how Fellou does. So with Fellou, I have the Instacart tab open and I use the same exact prompt, and it invokes deep action. I approve the plan and it's off to the races. It starts looking for each ingredient in the search bar in Instacart. It already decided which store it's going to order from. That decision was based on the fastest delivery options. And one by one, I could see it find and add the ingredients into my cart. As I read through some of the reasoning texts, I could see that it's deciding which option to choose from if there were 2 different kinds available for an ingredient. And it always chose the one that had better value. Sometimes it was the store brand, sometimes it was a different brand. That is fascinating behavior. So it can actually look at different options, compare it on the go, pause, and then choose one and add it to the cart. About 8 minutes later, I had a full grocery cart from the store that would deliver to me the fastest, and I could see that the agent was looking at the cart to verify if all the ingredients were present. Once it finalized all the ingredients, it invokes the code agent again. What could it be coding this time? Now remember, I used the same exact prompt I used for Dia. I did not ask for it to code anything. Let's see what it's up to. It coded a website for the ultimate shepherd's pie recipe. I couldn't see it code live because it was coding in the background, and then this website just popped up. It's a beautiful website. It's got a definition of what shepherd's pie is, a list of ingredients which match the cart it made for me. It's got step-by-step professional preparation method. Wow. I am very pleasantly surprised by how this turned out. Gives me a nutritional profile. It also gives me expert wine pairings. Now, this agent just likes going above and beyond. Couple of observations from how Fellou handled the mic comparison, the bike route, and the shepherd's pie task. Throughout the process, it was using agentic workflows in the background. It invoked multiple agents to finish the task. This browser is using a proper agentic framework in the background. Let's see how Comet does in the shepherd's pie test. We'll follow the same exact process with Comet. We have Instacart open, and I'm going to use the same exact prompt I used with Dia and Fellou. I type in the prompt and off it goes. It starts looking for the nearest store first, makes the decision on the store, and starts searching for these ingredients one by one. Finds the first ingredient, adds it to the cart, proceeds to the next one. Once it's adding every ingredient to the cart, it's confirming whether it was added successfully. It is also deciding on what ingredients to add based on pricing. Most of the ingredients Comet added were the cheapest ingredients available. And in the reasoning text, you could see it's choosing the better price. Through this process, if it encounters a pause where it can't find an ingredient or the website stops, it thinks, waits for the website to respond, and then tries again. After about 7 minutes, it added all the ingredients into my cart and it gave me a full-fledged recipe. It did not create a visually striking website for the recipe. However, it did complete the task. So let's summarize the results of our tests. For research and comparison across different tabs, all three browsers fared well, which is a definite upgrade from the browsing we know. Depending on the use case, this could save people minutes to hours. When it comes to interactive website action, Fellou and Comet led the charge. Dia was not necessarily able to interact with the website, but it did perform the task and find the information we asked for it. In multi-step navigation planning, which was our Google Maps test, Fellou and Comet gave us partial results. They were able to navigate Google Maps, find the stops, add the stops, but the order of the stops was incorrect at the end. That's why I gave it a partial result. Dia gave us a proper route, however, it wasn't able to interact with Google Maps or add the stops in. Last but not the least, agentic behavior. It was very clear from the tests that Fellou and Comet exhibited true agentic behavior. Dia, on the other hand, felt like more AI-assisted browsing, which is still an upgrade from the browsing we know, and you can save probably hours depending on what you use it for. For me, the future lies in true agentic workflows, where the browsers can execute complex multi-step tasks on your behalf. And that might involve invoking multiple agents in the process, without you even delegating specific instructions to each. So what truly lies in the future of agentic browsing? First thing I would love to see is background task orchestration. For example, I could ask it to plan my weekend, where it looks at my calendar, looks at the weather, knows where I am, finds locations based on my preferences, and gives me an itinerary. The other promise of AI native or agentic browsing is persistent learning and personalization. Comet definitely claims that and is pursuing an intelligent memory layer that enables the browser to learn your preferences and even anticipate tasks on behalf of you. For example, after a few grocery trips, it knows the brands you like. It always goes for those brands. It knows if you prefer organic vegetables, so on and so forth. The third major leap for agentic browsing would be proactive problem solving. Let's say you'd booked a flight and the flight gets delayed or canceled. The browser gets the notification on email, knows that the flight's been delayed, finds alternate options for you, and presents you with options for you to book upon approval. And now that does open up a different can of worms around privacy. At the end, what I can hope for is all the frontier model makers and browser developers make the right choices and develop applications and AI ethically and keep the user at the center. The user should always have the choice of what they choose to share or not share with any app or AI browser. The final promise of AI native browsing, which I think I am very excited to see, is collaborative agents. Now with Fellou, we saw it invoke different kinds of agents, one after the other. Now what if in that scenario, it invoked multiple agents performing different tasks together, collaborating with each other? each other. For example, I can ask a browser to plan my company retreat. It fires off a research agent that looks for venues and other agents that would help communicate the plans to my employees. That truly would be fascinating to watch, where you have a team of agents executing multi-step complex tasks for you. Now, how far are we from any of these use cases coming true? I don't know. Is it very real and in the short-term horizon based on the tests we did today? I think so. As you witness, some of these browsers are more capable than the others. However, we're still very early and the space is moving very fast. After having spent a few days with these browsers, I did feel the same sense of wonder I felt when I accessed the Yahoo homepage for the first time on Netscape Navigator. And having been a Chrome user for a while, I was hesitant to switch to something new. But by the time I was done shooting this video, I had switched my default browser on my main machine to one of these three. If you want to find out which my current default browser is, please leave us a comment below. Give us a like and subscribe, and check out our AI native browser guide on the Rift. Until next time, stay curious and keep asking.